Back in December, the FIA bans drivers from making political, religious, or personal statements without prior approval from the regulator. This came off the back of a few years of amplified political messaging from the drivers, Lewis Hamilton campaigning for greater racial diversity, Sebastian Vettel campaigning for sexual equality, and many more examples. The FIA backed the We Racers One campaign to show their support for increased inclusivity and diversity within the sport, so why would they seemingly go back on that now? I believe that, ultimately, this discussion comes down to the fact that Formula One is a business, and an ever-growing business at that. When so much money is coming into the sport from states whose ideologies don't match up with Formula One fans' generally more westernised liberal outlook, of course the people making that money wouldn't want the relationship to be at risk from drivers openly criticising them through words or visual statements. It's much easier for the FIA, as part of an Olympic federation, if complete neutrality is maintained at all times, in an attempt to keep everybody happy. And then there's the argument from some fans that politics don't belong in sport, which generally divides into two camps. The first being people who see Formula One as a getaway from everyday life, which I think we can all agree can be incredibly tough sometimes. So I completely understand where they're coming from. I want to not be constantly reminded how bad things really are during the thing they see as an escape. But then there is the second camp, people who specifically don't have time for that which they don't agree with. Lewis and Seb's lefty liberal nonsense, for example. Ironically, this tends to be the segment of society who so often point out how crucial free speech is when airing their own political grievances. Yes, free speech is the right to say whatever you'd like, but it's also the right for somebody else to disagree with what you're saying. Free speech isn't owned by either side or any political affiliation, it just has to be consistent. Throughout the last couple of weeks of car and season launches, we've heard so many voices opposed to this change from within Formula One. From more outspoken drivers like Lewis, to those who rarely speak about these issues, like Max Verstappen. Even Stefano Domenicali, Formula One CEO, said that F1 will never put a gag on anyone, introducing more attention to an already fractured relationship with the FIA and its apparently now sidelined president, Mohammed Ben Sulayem. The simple fact is that, as the sport grows, the more of a platform these drivers have to try to make things better and to encourage positive change. Censorship on any level is incredibly dangerous, and when you consider how crucial these 20 human beings each year are to the growth we have seen in Formula One, it's apparent the FIA are playing a very risky game by effectively trying to silence them. Since recording this video, the FIA has somewhat clarified its stance on the issue by sending a document to all of the teams. It says that drivers are allowed to express their views on social media, during interviews with accredited media, or during FIA press conferences, but only in that case if they are asked about them. They are not allowed to make any kind of statement on track or during pre-race or post-race procedures such as the national anthem or the podium ceremony, for example. The FIA say that they are open to discuss exceptions to this, but there would need to be a 4 weeks notice period before this gesture was scheduled to be made, and there is no appeal process if they were to turn it down. Does all of this change anything? Well, yes, absolutely. All of the most effective political action comes with a 4 weeks notice period. Well, that's what I think. But how do you view the FIA restricting political, religious and personal statements without prior approval? Let us know in the comments.